Today, Laura, we're going to begin discussing how to diagnose and treat challenging behavior.
Challenging behavior? You mean like physical or verbal aggression, self-injury?
Yes. Challenging behavior can disrupt home life, work, and school. From the viewpoint of the person with a developmental disability, challenging behavior can be the single greatest barrier to a quality life.
How so?
It starts in the family. Challenging behavior complicates family life. Parents may not know what to do when a child is aggressive or destructive or self-injurious.
It's difficult.
And if a child can't get along in the immediate family, they probably won't get much of a chance to become involved with extended family or in the community.
The families need help.
Yes, but they don't always receive help. That's why challenging behavior is the major reason for placement outside the home, usually in an institution.
I didn't know that.
And once institutionalized, challenging behavior keeps the individual there because it interferes with learning and progress. And without progress, an individual isn't likely to get to live in a less restrictive setting.
I knew challenging behavior was a problem, but I didn't realize the impact it can have.
It's devastating. Think of the impact on friendships and on living with dignity in the community.
You'll be avoided.
You're right. People may avoid you to avoid your challenging behavior.
That seems unfair.
Well, as unfair as it is, it's not the behavior that's considered the problem. You're considered the problem.
So what can be done to treat challenging behavior and turn things around?
Well, all behavior, challenging or not, occurs for a reason. We need to diagnose why the behavior is occurring.
Diagnosis sounds like what a physician does in treating illness.
It is, except we're not looking for causes of diseases, we're looking for causes of challenging behavior.
So what's first?
First, we try to rule out medical causes.
Causes that a doctor could treat.
Yes. Start by asking yourself, could the behavior be a side effect of medication?
Like starting on a new prescription.
That's it. Medications have side effects that range from drooling to aggression to extreme restlessness.
My doctor told me that side effects can be worse when I start a new medication.
Side effects can even show up as a medication's being reduced or eliminated.
Sounds like withdrawal.
Some side effects are temporary, but others are permanent.
That's scary.
I agree. Now, when looking for a medical cause, next ask, could the behavior be the result of any form of physical discomfort?
Like a toothache or ear infection?
Sure. We don't want to be treating someone behaviorally.
When the cause of the problem is medical.
Exactly. If the reason for the behavior is pain or discomfort, there may be some other behavioral symptoms.
Such as?
Well, because of a toothache, the individual may not eat certain preferred foods.
Or may react to cold or hot liquids.
Yeah. So keep a lookout for other symptoms. Now, there's another situation related to pain and discomfort that most of us parents know about.
What's that?
Well, when my children are physically stressed, when they're hungry or thirsty or tired, they can become quite challenging.
I know what you mean, but it's hard to diagnose.
The best test I know is to examine when the behavior occurs.
Before meals, before bedtime?
Right. Try naps, drinks, or snacks ahead of time. For my daughter, we carry snacks in the car for her. Sometimes a snack or a rest helps to calm her.
So you test to see whether or not the naps or snacks have any effect on the behavior.
Exactly. Another question is, does the challenging behavior occur seasonally?
You mean, could it be related to allergies?
Yes. Believe it or not, allergies can trigger challenging behaviors like aggression and self-injury.
I didn't know that.
The point is that we always check for a medical cause first.
Got it. But suppose we can't find a medical reason for the behavior.
Then we rule out environmental causes.
Environmental causes?
Challenging behavior doesn't occur in a vacuum. It's connected to other stuff that's going on.
In the environment?
Sure. And often the challenging behavior is a reaction to conditions in the environment.
Sort of a survival strategy?
Exactly. Now, to diagnose the impact of the environment on the challenging behavior, we need data. So each time a challenging behavior occurs, we keep track of important information related to the behavior.
Like date and time it occurred?
Yes, that's important.
How about where it occurred and who was around?
That's important too. We also note what happened before the behavior occurred, what the behavior itself looked like, and what happened afterwards.
Sounds like a lot to keep track of.
The key to managing the information is organization. It's the old who, what, where, when.
You mean looking at who was around, what were the circumstances leading up to the behavior?
Exactly. And as you organize your data, you can begin to see how aspects of the environment,
The who, the what, the where, the when.
how that interacts with the individual's challenging behavior.
What do you mean?
You look for patterns in the data,
Like,
are there circumstances under which the behavior always occurs or never occurs?
like places where an individual is always challenging or never challenging.
You may be able to develop a treatment by comparing when the challenging behavior does occur to when it doesn't. You figure out what the differences are between the situations and make some changes.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. When Fred was asked to bathe in the middle of the day, he'd become challenging. But on weekends, when he bathed before breakfast, Fred was very cooperative.
Well, it looks as though bathing before breakfast might eliminate the problem.
We tried just that. We rescheduled the bath for early in the morning, and it worked.
Rescheduling the bath time was an effective method of changing the environment, so Fred didn't have to challenge.
It was a simple solution, but it required some adjustment on everyone's part. That's typical when we talk about changing the environment.
I see.
Another pattern to look for in the data is whether the behavior only occurs with certain people.
How do you handle that?
Well, we examine the quality of interactions between people. Take teasing. Some people, like Peg, don't like to be teased. Other people, like Kathy, seem to love to tease. Whenever Peg and Kathy were together, Peg would become aggressive. It was a real recipe for World War III.
So what did you do?
Well, we taught Peg some coping strategies to use, including how to manage her anger and aggression.
Did it work?
It worked, and it was worth the effort. Now, there's another pattern to look for in the data.
What's that?
It has to do with the times of day the behavior occurs.
Like in the morning or evening?
We usually need to be more specific than that. Steve became aggressive several times a week over seemingly minor matters.
Could you see a pattern?
Not right away. There wasn't any pattern to who he was aggressive with or where he was aggressive.
What did you do?
We began looking at the times of day the aggressive behavior occurred, and bingo, we found a pattern.
What sort of pattern?
We found the behavior happened most often the half hour before meals.
Was he hungry?
Well, we needed additional data, so we directly observed the situation.
What did you find?
It turned out that before meals, at home and at work, Steve and several other people were just standing around waiting with nothing to do.
Sounds like boredom.
You know, we often accept aspects of the environment that are comfortable to us, but may be the source of discomfort for others.
Like the waiting routine before meals was acceptable to everyone but those who were doing the waiting.
Precisely. And each individual who was waiting adopted a style of coping with their hunger and boredom. Steve became challenging.
So what did you do?
We taught better use of free time. We made other activities available.
No more aggression?
Nope, no more. You know, there are indicators of potential environmental problems that you can look out for.
Indicators?
Look for dead time, a lack of activities.
How about time spent waiting?
Yes, because when people have nothing to do,
Like before meals?
people find things to do for themselves.
So teach people what to do with free time and provide additional activities when necessary.
Look at the instructional methods being used.
The way teaching is conducted?
Yes. Some people have strong preferences for the way they learn, and if those preferences aren't respected, they may become challenging.
Preferences like which hand to use, right or left?
Sure. Or an individual might prefer to be approached on the right side rather than on the left side. Another person may not like physical contact.
Some people don't like a lot of hands-on assistance.
Or an individual might prefer learning in a group over working one-to-one.
So, taking all that into account, I look to see that the environment is arranged to suit the individual's preferences.
Sure. Also look for excessive noise and crowding.
And noise can be really irritating.
High noise levels lead to increases in all forms of challenging behavior, from body rocking to aggression.
What can be done?
You can work to decrease noise levels and to teach people to leave noisy environments when they become upset.
What about crowding?
Crowding has a tremendous impact on behavior.
It reminds me of what I've heard about big cities.
People resort to a wide range of behavior, from aggression to self-injury to withdrawal, to try and cope with overcrowding.
Makes sense to rearrange the environment and reduce the crowding.
Yes. Finally, look at the characteristics of the other people in the environment.
What sort of characteristics?
Well, gender's an obvious one. One individual banged her head when a man assisted her with personal care. She never banged her head when a woman assisted her.
So the solution was to arrange for a woman assistant.
Definitely. That solution also respected her wishes.
So when it comes to diagnosing a challenging behavior, we start by ruling out medical causes.
Absolutely. Because when there's a medical cause for the behavior, there's usually a medical solution.
Like eliminating the source of discomfort when someone is in pain, or changing medications when the behavior is a medication side effect.
When there is a medical cause, behavioral interventions are only used in emergencies when there's a clear threat to the individual's well-being.
Makes a lot of sense.
Next, we look at the environment.
That means keeping data and examining it for patterns.
Yes. Look at who the challenging behavior occurs around.
Whether the person's male or female, whether they like to tease. That can have an effect on behavior.
Look at when the challenging behavior happens.
Like time of day, what activities are or are not occurring.
Look at where the challenging behavior occurs and what leads up to it.
Does it occur in one place and not another, or during one activity rather than another?
That's the idea. Most challenging behavior can be directly attributed to medical factors and factors in the environment.
I can see that now.
And the behavior can be remedied by making appropriate adjustments.
Like rescheduling bathing.
For behavior that's harder to diagnose, we use what's called a functional approach. We'll talk about that next time, Laura.
Okay. See you later, Greg.